We today have senior fellow Mr. Somen Banerjee with us to tell us about the effectiveness of Chinese maritime surveillance in the Indo-Pacific. Hello, sir. Sir, we have a couple of questions for you. We will start with what are the components of Chinese maritime surveillance?
Thank you. Good morning to you, Prerna. The Chinese have a multi-layered system of maritime surveillance comprising the Yaogan satellite constellation, the maritime reconnaissance aircraft, primarily Y-8X, the coastal chain of radars on the mainland, as well as the islands, patrolling ships and submarines and the UAVs. But the mainstay of their maritime surveillance is a constellation of 30 Yaogan satellites, which are primarily the LN satellites, the synthetic aperture radar satellites, and the electro-optical satellites. Now, the LN satellites have a large swath of about 7,000 kilometers and visit ships about 18 times a day, whereas the synthetic aperture radars and the optical EO site satellites have a visit of about 24 times a day, and all put together, the Chinese targeting capability is about for their ASBNs is about 16 targets with an accuracy of 10 kilometers, and these are complemented by a number of Y-8X MR aircraft, their shore-based radars. So therefore, in a nutshell, the Chinese surveillance appears to be impregnable.
Sir, but does that mean that the enemy aircraft carriers and surface ships are completely vulnerable in the South China Sea?
On surface, the Chinese capabilities give an impression that their defense, that is their anti-access and area denial A2AD system, is impregnable in the South China Sea. But when you go skin deep, you realize that these capabilities which are available on the internet, Chinese have many chinks in their armor. And if I can list a few of them for you, the LN satellites are at about 1,000 kilometers of height, and therefore have large inaccuracies in their direction of targeting. Then the shipping in South China Sea is so dense, and also there are large ships like the very large crude carriers, the ore carriers. So therefore, it is very difficult to pinpoint a warship, even an aircraft carrier, in such a dense shipping. Then the most important point is that these ships are constantly moving, and therefore there is a requirement to get real-time targeting data if a ship has to be targeted. Just joining the dots on the map is not real-time targeting information.
But sir, then can't these gaps be filled by Y-8X maritime patrol aircraft and the nuclear submarines that China has?
China has a large fleet of Y-8X maritime patrol aircraft, as also SSNs in their armory, but these too have shortcomings. The SSNs, or the nuclear submarines, can be outmaneuvered by the CVG or the carrier battle groups, and the Y-8X maritime patrol aircraft are vulnerable because these can be intercepted by the carrier-borne fighter aircrafts. So therefore, a CVG, which is their mainstay of sea-air battle, can actually penetrate the Chinese A2AD without much difficulty.
Sir, lastly, we have one more question for you. What is the role of the artificial islands in the Chinese A2AD concept?
The artificial islands are the intrinsic element of the Chinese A2AD concept. They serve as the sentinel of Chinese defense, especially because some of them are armed to the teeth with strike aircraft, radars, etc. And they also provide a forward base for dominating the Paracel and the Spratly Islands. But these are extremely potent only against small navies. Large navies like US CBG can breach the Chinese defense without much problem. And but China has a gaping hole in their A2AD because they have not been able to take over the Scarborough Reef, because they lost the PCA to Philippines. So in the end, I would like to conclude that the US CBG can penetrate Chinese A2AD in South China Sea, and during war, even Indian CBG can deny entry to Chinese warships in the Indian Ocean and neutralize them, and neutralize their even the bases that they have in the Indian Ocean region. So in this backdrop, the Malabar exercises and the bilateral exercises ensure interoperability. The LIMUA enhances the mutual support between ships of the US and India, and the COMCASA enables mutual exchange of critical information in the Indo-Pacific. So in other words, China is vulnerable in Indo-Pacific and will remain so for years to come.
Thank you, sir. That was very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.